Vusi Timbekwayo. That was my best South African.
Coolest dude ever, man. I love this guy.
Yeah, Vusi is a very sharp entrepreneur who puts out a lot of content across all of social media. And what's been fun to see is over the last, I would say like 4 years, this has really begun. He's really kicked off his rise in American entrepreneurship conversations, even though he's been a legit entrepreneur for a long time now.
Yeah.
And
sold several companies, built several companies.
Great communicator, thoughtful.
Toastmasters is kind of how he got his start. Is that what it was?
Well, it's something like that. The equivalent of that. He was a speaker and he really excelled in that. And that was his springboard for, I believe, opening up relationships and different things that led him into business.
He's so articulate. He's got a cool accent.
He does.
He has great frameworks. So if you don't know who he is and you're not following his content, go follow Vusi. I think it's at Vusi Thembekwayo.
Yeah,
on Twitter. And he goes by VT because he knows that's hard for people to say.
Yeah, so search VT, all caps. And but he tees up this post on consistency. I'm just going to read the little blurb here and then we can jump into it. But he says, consistency in customer service is the cornerstone of a successful business, ensuring a great customer experience that builds trust and loyalty. When a business consistently meets or exceeds expectations, it creates a reliable environment, fostering trust and long-term relationships, which are key and essential to doing what we were just talking about, playing the long game.
Yep.
So let's listen to Boost.
If you have customers and you're servicing them and you want to think about how do you deliver an amazing and incredible customer experience, here is what the research tells us. You've got to do 4 things, just these 4 things. Make sure that you are relevant, convenient, reliable, and responsive. Let's start first with convenient. What does that mean? Offer your customer choice, not too much. Be consistent and be timely. And the most important of these is consistency. Being inconsistently good is worse than being consistently bad. See, when you're bad, the customer knows. They build in the emotional residue to deal with your bad service. But when you're good, then you're not. Then you're good, then you're not. That's how you end up with bad reviews. And the difficulty for those of us, especially those of us who run practices of people in our businesses, is how do I make sure, I don't know if it's just me that I'm preaching to, but my challenge is how do I make sure that my people have the same obsession and passion in delivering customer experiences I do? How do I make it consistent? Be reliable. What does that mean? Whatever promise you make your customers, you make sure you keep that promise. Whatever it is, that is the brand promise. If you say we are the most incredible, amazing customer service business, keep that promise. If you say we are the most responsive to our customers, you keep that promise. If you say we're always going to make sure we give you the best advice, even if we don't benefit, you keep that promise. You keep that promise.
That's good.
That is good.
My thought on that is, especially in service-based businesses, is productizing your service. And that sounds counterintuitive because a product is like this tangible thing that you can buy and take with you. But a service and the way that that's delivered has a tendency to not be so predictable.
Right.
So the thought process is if you can productize your service, meaning you can make it duplicatable and repeatable so that the person with the lowest level of skill can execute at the highest level, then all of a sudden you can build in that consistency. And that's the number one thing that I have seen with service-based businesses is they're relying so heavily on the talent that they can acquire that they have to go after the best talent that they generally can't afford early days, right? Because those really talented people already have jobs and those people are the exception. They're not the rule. And so when you productize your service by building in SOPs, leveraging technology, automation, making it as easy as possible for a single individual person to have the most bandwidth possible to execute at the highest level and deliver on that customer promise, that's when you get consistent. And it's never been easier than it is today.
Yeah. On the productized piece, Naval Ravikant has some great insight. Man, his tweet, I believe the book the Almanac of Naval Ravikant is a worthy read. If you can get through it. But he says on productizing yourself, he says, productize has specific knowledge and leverage. Yourself has uniqueness and accountability. Yourself also has specific knowledge. So you can combine all these pieces, uniqueness, accountability, and your specific knowledge and leverage to productize yourself.
Yeah, and we have all heard the 80-20 rule, right? So if you just have a team of people, let's just say salespeople, for example, 20% of them are going to be driving 80% of the revenue. So how do you raise that bar? How do you raise that number? You productize, you systematize. Hey, this is the way that this is our process for opening and closing a phone call. This is how we do demos. This is how we move people through the sales pipeline. This is how we know we've gotten from the first stage to the second stage to the third to the fourth to the fifth to the sixth, seventh, eighth, the ninth, the 10th.
Right.
And you make that clear. But instead, what you do, you get 100 salespeople, and it's just like, well, this is how I like to sell.
Right.
Don't do it like me because this is my style. Like, that's not duplicatable. It's not teachable. And if that person messes up, is off their game or whatever, how do you know how to fix it if everybody's doing it a different way?
Right.
So I love that.
That's really good. That's really good.